Those of us who are into cycling always banging on to those who aren't about just how good bike riding is at relieving stress, taking the sting out at the end of a busy day or a manic week. And it's because we get to go out in the warm summer sun or the crisp cool of winter, spin our legs, clear our minds, or push ourselves really hard.
It's well documented that cycling is good for mental and physical health. It's even been prescribed by doctors as a cure for many illnesses. Something that we all suffer from is stress, and in small doses it's healthy, but it can be damaging long term if it's not managed properly.
But we were thinking the other day, when we were arguing over our favourite types of riding, what is actually better, more effective at relieving stress? A fast ride or a slow ride? Well, we're here to find out. And before we get into it, we want to know from you, how do you ride to relieve stress? Head over to the GCN app and get voting.
For me, I always know I feel so much better after doing some sort of exercise. A steady ride works perfectly for me if I need to de-stress. Sometimes the hardest part can be getting my kit on and getting out the door, but I've never got back from a ride feeling worse than I've left.
Steady ride, you say, Manon? No, thank you very much. In fact, the mere thought of going out for a gentle ride actually I find quite stressful. For me, the part of cycling that I enjoy the most is going fast and riding as hard as I possibly can. And so that is effectively what I do every time I go out the door. The question is though, is it the most effective way of relieving stress? To find out, I'm going to do a bit of an experiment and change things up a little bit, which means that I am about to go for a very, very, very slow bike ride and see whether it actually makes me feel better at the end of it than I normally would do.
And I'm going to take Si's approach, a hard ride. I'm not sure if I've drawn the short straw here. At least it's not a turbo session this time.
Right then, I'm going to get my helmet on and, well, go out for, 6 kilometres or something? Maybe take an hour over it?
So I've chosen my loop. It's around an hour long. It's got a good few climbs in it, so that'll keep me working nice and hard. My average heart rate for 60 minutes is actually 192 beats per minute, but that was in a race back in 2018. And I doubt I'll be anywhere near that today. So I'm gonna look to hold 165 to 180 beats per minute within the hour. I've got a few traffic lights and a few junctions in there, so I'll have to take that into consideration as well. But let's get started. Let's just smash this ride out.
Right, here we go then. Not gonna lie, I'm not terribly excited at this, but then that isn't the point. This is not about pleasure, this is about stress busting. I've got a vague idea of a route in mind. How much of it I'm gonna be able to do in my allotted time, I don't know. The only thing that I'm going to do differently to normal, other than my speed, I guess, is taking my Wahoo off the bike, because I don't need to look at how fast I'm going, how far I'm going, how much power I'm putting out, all of that kind of jazz. Although I will be recording it and saving it for later, of course, because well, otherwise it doesn't count.
So I've just started one of the climbs on the ride, just trying to find a good rhythm. I feel like this is a really good way to distract yourself if you're really stressed about something or you're quite angry. Doing a really hard ride, you can just take all your anger out on the bike and just go really fast.
First impressions then. I'd love to say how far I've gone and how fast I've gone, but obviously I don't know because my Wahoo's in my pocket. But I did just overtake another cyclist, so I'm going to change out my big chain ring and hope that well, prevents that from happening again. I suppose the thing I'm noticing at the moment is just how stressful it is riding slowly in traffic compared to going at the same speed as the cars normally. So I'm going to change my route and try and find a bike path as soon as possible, because well, I could do without this if I'm totally honest. The only slight problem is it's going to take me ages to get there. It's only like a kilometre away, but anyway, nevertheless, hopefully my one-man traffic jam will not cause me too many problems.
And when you're going this hard on the bike, you're always just thinking about what's coming up. What if you need to brake for a corner? Because you're going so fast and you haven't got that time to daydream, and you have to be concentrating on your speed and all sorts of fine things. You haven't got room in your head to think about anything else. Well, I haven't, my brain's quite small, but yeah, just so much to think about when you're putting all this effort in. Jesus Christ.
Oh, thank goodness for segregated bike paths. The saviour of, well, all cyclists actually, slow or fast. It's not the most exciting bit of segregated bike path you've ever seen, but nevertheless, there's no cars. I do feel like I'm in quite a good mood actually, I'm enjoying this.
So even though I've stopped at traffic lights now for a nice little breather, which I'm quite glad of because I was getting quite out of breath, but I'm still just thinking about setting off and getting my heart rate back up to speed. So I still don't really have any time to think about anything else because I'm just thinking about going really hard again.
This is odd. Riding up a hill, quite a steep one at that, and I'm not out of breath. Not at all. It's unheard of. Quite enjoyable. I could have a conversation if I could have tempted anyone out to join me, or I can just sort of actually think about stuff as opposed to just searing pain and oxygen debt. Yeah, it's all right. Almost nice. What a beautiful flower. As an exercise addict, I very much rely on my regular endorphin hit for my sort of mental well-being. And I'm pretty sure that today's little spin is not going to provide me with my usual dose. But I'm well aware of the well-documented benefits of gentle exercise in beautiful natural surroundings. So it's called green exercise, and there's a lot of research to show that actually just being out in a natural space like this one, which I'm very fortunate is only a few kilometres from home, and just being there, passing through it and doing a bit of exercise whilst you do it, and it's definitely a different vibe to going full stick like normal. It's kind of, it pains me to say it, but I can actually appreciate it far more at this pace than I normally would do, because I normally wouldn't be thinking about it at all. Now, I have temporarily stopped riding my bike for a moment, and that's for a very good reason, in that I'm currently tree bathing, or engaging in a bit of shinrin yoku, to give it its proper name. And that was a term that was coined in Japan in the 1980s after the government there did some scientific research and showed that spending time immersed in a forest or a woodland would actually lower your blood pressure, reduce your levels of cortisol, so that's like stress hormone, and also improve your memory and your concentration, which is utterly remarkable. But actually, it is a proper thing. So I've used my bike as a mode of transport, a very nice one at that, to pedal out of the city into a local woodland and just be in it for a little bit. It's really very nice. Just going to be mindful for a bit, okay?
So I'm back from my ride, and well, that's not usually how I'd spend a ride de-stressing, but I actually feel quite good. I feel like I had a good hour where I didn't have to think about anything but me on my bike and the power and heart rate I was doing. My average heart rate was 172, so probably not as high as I thought it would be, but I had quite a bit of downhill where my heart rate went down, but I was always thinking about keeping on the power whilst I was riding. I wonder how Si found his ride and if he managed to take it easy.
Now, something else that the Japanese government showed is that apparently trees have an antimicrobial property. So currently, I'm boosting my immune system as well. God, this feels good. Should have done this more when I was a pro. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. No time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. Stop sniggering. No time to see in broad daylight, streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet, oh how they dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if full of care, we have no time to stand and stare. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the first ever poem on GCN. And I'm 99% sure that our editor is going to cut it. Travesty. For the record, that's Leisure by W.H. Davies. A banger, I think you'll agree. Right, I've got a wet arse. I'm going to go home now. Oh yeah, I've just stopped again. This time to do a bit of foraging. Yep, sampling nature's bounty and sticking it in a pocket, taking it home and using it to make a crumble later on. In this case, it's going to be blackberry and apple. Happy days. Not something I would ever consider on an ordinary bike ride, but it seems fitting right now. And once again, my theme seems to be coming back to communing with nature. From an exercise perspective, today hasn't really touched the sides, but from an actually just kind of enjoying where I am and where my bike has taken me, I can't actually tell you how much it's blown me away. So maybe slow cycling is not actually about the cycling, it's about where you're cycling. I'll leave you with that thought. I'm going to pick some blackberries. Here we are then, back where I started. Approximately 56 minutes after I set off, and an average speed, wait for it, of 21 kilometers per hour. That's not including stops. So in total, I went 12 Ks, but that's okay. That wasn't what it was all about. How do I feel? Genuinely, actually, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Obviously, I've been vlogging a little bit, but it pains me to admit it, actually. Although I didn't enjoy it as much as I would like a super hard ride, from a stress-busting perspective, right here, right now, I feel an awful lot calmer than I would do if I'd just gone and flogged myself for an hour. Question is whether or not that buzz is going to continue into the evening like it ordinarily would do. I don't know, but yo, rude boy, and another one. Whether that buzz will continue. Hold on a sec. Whether that buzz will continue into the evening or not, like it ordinarily would do, I don't know. But right now, I've got to say there is a lot to be said for a slow bike ride with lots of stopping, and well, an apple and blackberry crumble at the end of it. High fives all around.
So I think what we've discovered is that it's important to do something that you enjoy, and each rider has their own preference. If you fancy a really hard ride, go out and have a really hard ride. But if you fancy a nice, easy, calm ride, go out and find some really nice views. Likewise, a 20-kilometer ride can be just as good as a 120-kilometer ride. Just don't beat yourself up if you can't get out or if you don't want to ride at all. We want to hear from you. How do you deal with stress on the bike? Please let us know in the comment section below.